Hey guys, Jordan here, I hope you're doing well. Today we are looking at another affordable B660 motherboard. Now a couple of videos before I did the Prime B660M A/D4, which is around about 100, I think £80. And a lot of people were asking about the Gigabyte DS3H AX, which is what I've got here. This was actually one of two boards that was kindly sent out by Gigabyte. I wasn't aware which models they were. Until I actually was asked the question. So it was lucky that it was this one, as it seems to be one that people are picking either the Gigabyte or the Asus when going for a B660 to pair with the 12400F, which is what I've got here. So we're going to do an unboxing overview of this board in this video, and a quick mention, Gigabyte also sent out the Z690 Aero G, which is a more white and silver motherboard. And I'm actually very tempted to put my 12700K, which is here, in that one and run it as a daily, like daily driver rig to see how we get on with the 12 Gen. So let me know if you'd like to see that. But for now, let's get these other boards out of the way. Now, before we get into the box, it's worth mentioning that this is the full-size ATX variant. Gigabyte do have the M-ATX, which is the B660M DS3H. So if you want a smaller form factor, you can get that. The Asus board we looked at last was actually M-ATX as well. This one is retailing at about £149. The M-ATX is slightly cheaper, but I don't think it has quite the features that this one does. So should you go for a little bit bigger of a form factor, you will get a few more benefits. So let's get into the box now. As you'd expect, we're on B660, so this is LGA 1700 or Intel 12th Gen. Now, a lot of people asked on the last video if they could run a 12600K. Now there's no VRM heatsink along the top, so it may get a little bit warm, but being this is a more budget priced motherboard, I can't see too many people running a higher end processor with it. They probably pick something that's a bit more dedicated for the job. So we've got some Wi-Fi antennas. Are these magnetic? They are indeed. Nice to see. We've got a IO shield, just a plain silver one. Instruction guides. There's a fold out motherboard layout pamphlet. We've got two SATA cables and then two M.2 screws. Nothing overly fancy with this one, but as I did say, it's more of a budget board. So as you can see, it's quite stripped back. There's not too much fanciness with this board, but again, it is 100, £150, so you do have to consider it's not going to have too many cosmetic features, but it does retain a lot of functionality, which is obviously the key thing we're looking for. So let's go around it. We've got a nice metal heatsink along the top, and we can see our power delivery as well. As I said, there isn't a heatsink along the top, so that's why I would say go with the lower SKUs if you're going to be using this board. We've got our 4 DIMM slots. This supports up to 5333 megahertz RAM, of course overclocked. It does support XMP as well, so you can easily set that straight in the BIOS. If you watch an upcoming build with this board, I will show you how to do that as well. At the top, we've got some 4-pin fan headers. We've got one for a CPU, and then we've got an optional fan there. Let's see if there's any more. There's another one on the top left. And we've also got one down here. So system fan 3 or pump. And there's also system fans on the side here, just under the 24-pin. We've got USB 3.2 header, so you can add some additional USB 3 ports. We've also got a USB-C port, which is nice to see. We've got standard SATA ports down here if you want to add any external drives. Our usual front panel stuff. We've got two USB 2 headers, so perfect for your front panel connectors, or if you're using something like a Corsair Commander. We've got a adjustable RGB and then the standard 12 volt RGB header there as well. Got our PCI slots. The top one is 16x and then the rest are running at 1x. And then sandwiched in between those, we have got our M.2 slots. We'll take up to 110 if you're using a really long boy, but by the standard, we're going to be using the 80mm long. No heatsink cover on this one, but I think the B660M variant of this board does have a heatsink cover. Unless you're absolutely hammering your M.2, maybe doing video editing or something at a very consistent rate, it's not going to get hot enough to need one anyway. Of course, our LGA 1700 socket. Just give you a quick look, I won't leave that open too long. Then I think the last thing to talk about on the face of the board is our 8-pin power on the top left corner. So moving on to the rear I/O, we've got two USB 2 ports, a PS2 if anyone wants to use any OG peripherals. Got the connectors for our Wi-Fi antennas, We've got HDMI and DisplayPort out. That's something you're probably not going to be using if you're going to get a F variant SKU, but obviously you can if you buy a K or a standard one. We've got a USB 3.2 Gen 2. This is the Type A. And then below we've got a USB-C port. This is a USB 3.2 Gen 2x2. A couple more USB 2s and then our Gigabit Ethernet. And then we've got some standard audio on the end. So quite a stripped back board, but again, it does retain some good features. We've got USB-C connectivity, which is always nice, especially on a board of this price. Of course, B660 is the non-overclocking chipset of the Intel 12th Gen. So I think the B660 range is really great for people that don't want to spend extra money on overclocking features that they just won't use. So if you have any more questions or comments about this board, then do leave them in the box down below. I'll add the relevant links and stuff in the description should you want to pick one of these up. Check out my social media and things down below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.